And we're live. How about
And
that?
we're
My name is
live.
Perry Knoppert, alias Dr. Octopus. I'm the founder of the Octopus Movement, a global consortium of nonlinear thinkers, people that are slightly weird. We think differently. We see connections that others can see or are not seeing. We like to myceliate, to connect dots that are unexpected. And I have two awesome guests today. It's Karen Zeigler. I know Karen very well, and she's the CEO of the Human Score, and Dr. Antoine Eid. He is the founder of Meet Yourself. And we're going to discuss a lot of things, hopefully, today. But first, a warm welcome to you, Karen and Antoine. Welcome here in
Yeah.
this space online.
Yeah, thank you. So glad to be here. Two of my favorite guys to hang out with.
Yay. So I've made some rules. So I did something that is totally not me. I thought we're talking about meet yourself. Let's do something that I normally don't do. And that's create rules. I'm always very proud to say that within the Octopus movement, we don't have any rules. For some reason, that feels so good to say that. So meet yourself. I want to do something that I normally don't do. I have a rule for you guys. You're not allowed to say the word employee,
Mhm.
work, and organization. If you do say one of these three words,
Okay.
you have a timeout of 5 minutes, and you're not allowed to discuss
So give me
any
the
more.
three words again: employee, organization.
Employee, organization, and work.
Wow, that's gonna be challenging.
So we can say it now, but then it stops. We're not going to talk about this. You know why? I used to work very long time ago with one of the biggest production companies in the world, TV production companies. And there's one show on TV that will never work, and that's when it's about work. It's not fascinating enough. So I know we're live on LinkedIn, and this is has to do with business and organizations and people, but let's not talk about work. It's so boring. Let's go into a different angle. And I want to challenge you both, and I want to, and we didn't prepare this, so sorry for doing this. But Antoine just said to me, Perry, don't act normal, be yourself, be as weird as possible. So here we go. I want to
I
know,
think you nailed it.
yeah, I want to know your definition of intelligence. And I looked it up in the dictionary, and in the dictionary, intelligence is the ability to learn or understand things or to deal with new or difficult situations. Um, it's the ability to acquire and apply knowledge and skills. That's how we define intelligence in the dictionary. Another rule, no, not another rule. I'm curious. Let's challenge this first. I have the feeling that this doesn't do the trick anymore. I don't think human intelligence isn't about the ability to acquire and apply knowledge and skills anymore. I think that has changed already and is going to change even more. So my first question, and ladies first, Karen, for you first. Um, how do you see human intelligence?
Wow. Well, if we're not acquiring knowledge and implementing knowledge and all that chasing to get smart, then how can we tap into the intelligence that we already have in the present moment? Some people call this intuition, some people call it your gut, but no matter what situation we are facing, normally, if we can quiet down the thoughts in our heads, we get that intuitive next step or knowing what's next or what action to take next. We may not have full knowledge of how to get exactly where we're going every step of the way, but I think as humans, we have this innate ability to stop and pause and tap into an intelligence that knows what's the next step in front of us.
So you're still using the word knowing a few times in this explanation, combined with the word gut. So
Yeah.
knowing your gut feeling if I can compress it all together, for you, human intelligence is also knowing your gut feeling. Am I correct in that one?
And knowing is beyond knowledge. Like, some people will say, well, how did you know that? And oftentimes I won't be able to explain that. So it's not as easily accessible as, oh, let me show you this book that I read and it told me this is how you do this. So it
now we're
takes
getting
a
into
lot.
a very interesting angle. So you're
Yeah.
also saying that it's a gut feeling, and the gut feeling is close to not knowing. So intelligence today is almost the opposite of intelligence from the past, where it's, applying knowledge is now listening to not knowledge as well, right?
Yeah. Because you may
I
not
love that.
be able to explain it, but
I
you
get
have
it.
a knowing.
My gut feeling understands this, and I see Antoine thinking, okay, me, Antoine, what are you thinking? What is the human intelligence of today's world, except the intelligence from the dictionary, acquiring and applying knowledge and skills?
Well, that's I agree with you and Karen for sure. This is a very academic definition of what intelligence is, and it's mostly based on knowledge that's based on information, facts, proof, evidence, something concrete that you can see and understand. What Karen is referring to is the opposite of knowing, is feeling without knowing. And that's what intuition is all about. The moment you put some proof into it, it's not intuition anymore. You're using your analytical mind and not your intuitive mind in that situation. Now, when it comes to intelligence, humans have different types of intelligences. Abstract reasoning is one of them, and that's the one that relies on knowing and learning. The other types of intelligence can rely on feeling. Empathy is one. Intuition is one. Being able to understand other people's emotions and your own emotions, that's also part of emotional intelligence, and so on.
So if we see this as human intelligence in today's world, can we have a human intelligent conversation about Meet Yourself and the human score? Meaning, I want to use this angle to have a conversation about this, so the audience can feel that it's related to them, rather than we're talking, in a bigger picture, or we're talking about organizations and work. Oh, by the way, in the rule setting, only you two are not allowed to talk about work organizations, and I'm allowed to talk about that. So don't worry about that. But
Typical work environment. The leader sets the rules,
yeah,
but he doesn't have
5
to
minutes.
follow
You
them.
said the word work, Karen. You're out. No, okay, it's okay for now. But let's use that angle of human intelligence, how we see that in today's world, and I want to understand from that angle, in not knowing. I'm curious how you would describe Meet Yourself, Antoine, and how that fits in today's world, where what I'm looking for is there is not, in order not to know, is that you need to know as well. Otherwise, there is not knowing, because then it's empty, and it's only not knowing when you know. So
I
I'm curious how you see that, because you dive into to yourself, but there is also an intelligence on top of that that is very interesting for the audience to understand.
Definitely. The thing is, we can never separate one aspect of a human being and say that is the next thing and that was the previous thing. Human beings are a complex mix of all of these, and none of them is going to replace another. We're just going to be relying on one trait or in that type of intelligence more than another, but we can never completely ditch a part of us and completely rely on something else. We will always have, because through our senses we're capturing information all the time, whether we want that or not. This is information. When you see something, when you smell something, when you touch something, that is information. This is not intuition. So what we need to understand is that human beings will always rely on these different types of intelligence. But why is this conversation becoming more critical today? It's because one of the types of intelligences is becoming easily accessible externally, which means that.
And you're talking about AI right now.
I'm talking about AI. I'm talking definitely about AI, which has this amazing ability to help us reflect and do the exact thing that definition of intelligence was saying.
Applying knowledge, right? It is
Exactly.
able to apply knowledge in a very linear way.
To reflect, to process, etc., apply, and so on. Which means that even though we will have this tool, and we have this tool at hand right now, and it is exponentially developing, it is making our other types of intelligence become the important commodity that human beings can nurture in order to give to this world. If one day everything else is going to be done mostly by a machine, what will humans do?
And how
Yes.
and how does that connect with Meet Yourself? So I do a Meet Yourself session, so I understand myself better. How does it help me to understand myself, to unpack that human intelligence that everyone has, but is not fully seen in today's world, maybe because of our binary thinking? How does it work when we use Meet Yourself?
Thank you for the question. People have always been
You're
on
welcome.
a quest.
And don't forget about the rules, Antoine.
Yes, I'm so far doing well, I think.
Yeah, very well.
Employee work organization, we can't say.
Oh, yeah.
Cheater.
You made a note, right?
So, human beings have historically been on a quest to discover themselves, to understand what our passions are, what drives us, what motivates us, etc. And sometimes we spend most of our life trying to find that through experimentation, trial and error, learning. Today, science can help a lot to shed light on some aspects of who we are that are hidden behind everything we've learned. And these are called our talents. By definition, a talent is something that we are born with, which can be nurtured through learning. You can be musically talented, for instance, never learn music. Your genes still know that you are musically talented, but if we put you by the piano, you will not be able to play the piano. So what Meet Yourself does is, through genetic testing, is to identify these different talents in us as humans, be it our rational, more analytical, which are more replaceable talents, or our more human talents, which are the more loving, compassionate, empathetic, emotional, etc. talents that we have. And knowing that we have these as talents, we have an innate predisposition towards these, would allow a person to start nurturing these things in order.
And the fact, sorry to interrupt you, but the fact that you created this is a bloody shame, because apparently we're not knowing this, or we're not knowing this enough, or education and parents are not nurturing us to see this well and to focus on this, because we have been so busy with learning, the conditioning, and we need to do math and science and language and whatnot. So I want to go quickly to Karen. Karen, so there is the beauty of the human being with all its beautiful elements that are sometimes a bit hidden and are coming very close to that human intelligence. So what the hell is human score doing then? So why is this there in relationship with this? And keep in mind that we want to know how this fits with human intelligence, and why the audience as a human being, as one person, not an organization, not work, not a corporate building. Why is it so interesting for you as a human that the human score is here?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to do my best not to say the 3 words, so I may have to slow down here a minute and explain myself. But I love what Anton's doing. In fact, I was a cohort in one of his first cohorts for teaching Meet Yourself and how that works. And I just think it complements the human score very well. And so what is the human score? It is speaking to those leaders and teaching them why that what he's doing matters to their organization. So why do, oh, I said it. Shoot, you got to let me finish my thought, though.
You said organization.
I did.
You're out, Karen. Get out of StreamYard. We don't want to see you. No.
Okay, we're going to change that
It's difficult, right?
Yeah,
I knew
so
these
we're
words were
going
going
to
to be
that.
difficult. Yes.
So
If someone is out, can the other one have do something to save them?
No.
Yeah, save me.
We're not
Anton.
saving each other here, Antoine. Are you kidding me? No.
That's the whole point.
This is the system. System relevance. This is how it works.
So,
go on, Karen.
So the human score is about helping leaders access through the tools the impact of what they do on the collective of the humans in their care, right? Did I say that without saying all the words?
I'm going to help you here, Karen.
Yeah.
I'm going to help you because I know what the human score does. I know it very well. And one of the things that I love about the human score is from the perspective of one human being, when you go in contact with an organization, a school, a community, you want to know if this is an organization that hides behind the system relevance, like, I'm sorry, I can't help you. This is how we always do it. My hands are tied, Of course your hands are not tied. Or are you interacting with the community where they say, this is not how we normally do it, but I understand your perspective. And let's dive into the possibilities. And in order to dive into the possibilities, I think you need to meet yourself. You need to know where your value lies. You need to know, what are you doing? Right, Karen?
Yeah.
Do I explain that correctly?
Yeah. Meet Yourself talks directly to the individual, where human score is asking the organization to meet themselves. Because,
Go on.
I've always been a rule breaker, by the way.
Very good. Break the rules. Karen, go for it.
So, it's asking leaders to look beyond the system that they've built, the policies and processes that they've built, and all the things that they think represents them as a collective, to really meet themselves, and that is the humans, and how the impact and the tasks on a daily basis get done and interact with one another and impact the customers.
Lydia's asking a very good question. Are we ticking a box, or are we creating a better world through what we're building in our community? Our community means the Octopus Movement. What we're doing here is because we're doing this with the Octopus Movement. It's a very good question. Of course, our answer is going to be, we're creating a better world. Of course, but it's interesting from the perspective of system relevance. Like, we're doing this, so we're ticking the box and we're showing the world that we're doing something good. The question is, are we really, from a human intelligence, doing something good? Antoine, what is your dream for 10 years? What in 10 years from now, what would you like to achieve with Meet Yourself?
I'm on a mission to create a world where people can understand their potential and live through their potential. People have had enough hearing how wrong they are and how much is missing in them. People want to hear what is going right in them. And our parents mostly very lovingly try to guide us to what is a better behavior. And by doing that, in most cases, they've derailed us from really understand who we truly are.
Yeah.
But you can see now with the new generations that this is does not have the same impact as before. Our generation, we listened, we did what we were told, we worked hard. Today, you we have been hiring, and when they come for the interview from day one, they start telling you how much they want to do things the way in a way that aligns with who they are. So for this generation and the future generations, knowing yourself is becoming not just a luxury but a necessity.
Hmm. Well, I will come back with something, and before I go to Karen, but I will come back on a topic that is interesting in this perspective as well. I think is who's the guy? I forgot his name, but he said 98% of our thoughts are the same thoughts every day. So we need different thinking in this world. Things are shifting, things are changing. We need different thinking, and I think it's important to create a solution in how we can think differently, because what I see in the corporate world a lot is, oh, we need to do it differently, we need to change that. And when they start talking about change, they talk about the same thing at the same way at the same time and expect things to change, which is not possible. But Karen, let's get back to you. Are we creating a better world through the human score? And where did we go in 10 years with the human score? And by the way, Anthony Hall is suggesting that instead of company or organization, maybe garden is a better term for you, Karen. So, and the leader is then a gardener, and it's a garden. So
Yeah.
maybe that helps. Go for it. 10
Yeah.
years from now, where
Yeah.
does the human score stand?
Well, my vision is the same as Anton's in the fact that I see 10 years from now, people are living up to their full potential. And so the angle that I go to get there is different than his, because the human score addresses the garden, right? That we're tending. Thank you, Anthony. And so to me, how I get 10 years from now where every human in the garden of I can't do it. How we get there is how do we do that as leaders? And I think we think that AI is this huge opportunity for efficiency. No, it is a huge opportunity. Yeah, we're going to get more efficient, perhaps, but it's a huge opportunity to do what Anton's trying to do and what I want to do, and that is help develop the people to their fullest potential. Because when we tap into that, it's expansive, it's innovative, it's creative, and it leads to a positive, better world than if we're just, how can we do what we're doing faster and better? That leads to death, quite frankly. So yes, that's how we create a better world, when everyone's living to their full potential. And
So
leaders,
what went wrong then? So we're talking about living to our full potential. Nice, tralala, right? Um, what does it mean? Like, why are we so focused on that? Because apparently, how we live in today's world is our full potential, because that's what we're doing. Um, so what went wrong? What is our full potential? What does it mean, basically?
well, to me, the full potential that we've been focused on is systems and the collective being the biggest and brightest. It's all about numbers and ego measures, metrics, where to me, full potential in an individual is it's that price versus priceless
Mhm.
thing you see in ads. You know, that's the trade-off, and we've been focused so much on getting the
So
best price.
what went wrong in your opinion, when we circle back? What's what went wrong in the world?
Well,
Did it go wrong? Let's go there first. Full potential, and we need that. Things are changing. So, are we not doing a good job in today's world, Antoine?
Well, I like to debate that we have been exploring our full potential. If you think about the way we were raised, as I said, we were mostly raised with certain rules of what is acceptable behavior. And because humans have this amazing ability to adapt and learn and be guided, we've acquired these behaviors. I've done hundreds of thousands of tests, of personality tests in my career so far, and not a single one of them showed that there's no talent or that all of those talents were explored. It's because we focus a lot on the peer pressure, on what our parents or society, the culture, etc., says is the right behavior. And we go and learn these things, and we end up acquiring these amazing skills. And there's nothing wrong in developing in that direction, but is that direction a function of what our environment requires from us, or is it a function of what aligns with who I am?
Mhm.
An example of that, if you randomly ask two people who have been in a long-term relationship, why do you behave that way? The most likely answer is, my wife doesn't like it when I behave differently. Or if you ask anyone doing an MBA right now, why are you doing an MBA? The most likely answer is because it's a job
My
requirement.
wife doesn't like me home.
You
No,
enrolled
sorry.
me
Go.
in MBA. So we acquire these skills, but not always in the direction of, let me pursue what I'm passionate about. Let me listen to the voice that keeps repeating in my head that I like music or that I'm driven towards something. We're busy pleasing an environment that we chose to be in. And in that comes a development of a great set of skills, but also the loss of a lot of skills that align with our potential.
So
So
you're
put
saying that the conditioning of skills, the conditioning of thought is focused on acquiring skills where your passion becomes maybe second place, maybe even irrelevant sometimes. I want to talk about NPCs later
Absolutely.
on. Maybe
Absolutely.
that's what happened there. What do you think, Karen?
Well, what went wrong was, in my opinion, we were conditioned, back to the conditioning, to be human doings and not human beings. And so when we're human doings, there's always something more to do, something more to learn, another task, another degree, another whatever, which is exhausting, breaks down our mental health, our physical health, on and on and on. Where if we become human beings, which is what Anton's Meet Yourself program allows us to recognize what is our being states most naturally. When we become human beings and present in the moment, then we can flow. And if you're in the flow, anyone that's ever been in the flow, even if it's for 10 minutes, you recognize how much more productive and how much more you can achieve as a human being versus a human doing, right? It's very limited in being a human doing, but being a human being can be quite unlimited.
I was reading a story once on LinkedIn from a friend of mine. He's a psychiatrist, and he came home after a very busy day, and his kids were on the couch playing on their iPad, and he had a very stressful day, and everything went wrong that day. We all recognize that, right? Everything, like, what kind of day is this? So he came home, and he saw his kids on the iPad, and it was like, what the hell? And we have rules, and you're not allowed to be on the iPad before dinner or whatever. He was very upset, was angry with the kids immediately. The same person, you know came home the other day from work, and he had the best day ever, and he was in the flow, and things were going well, and he was happy, and he was doing his passion as a psychiatrist to help people. He came home, his kids were on the iPad again, and what happened? He sat down on the couch with the kids, started talking with them. How was your day? My day was fantastic. And there was not even a debate about the iPad. Why I'm saying this? Because I believe that there is a lot of trauma in the world, and a lot of things are fucked up in a way, and we're so stressed out. And I think it's also because it became all so system relevant. It became all so important to know your knowledge and your skills that what Antoine is saying, your true passion, knowing yourself, what is that element about yourself that is really powerful? And what does the organization know about its people working there and their passion? And are you able to pause the system and solve something for your clients because you use your human intelligence rather than hiding behind whatever system? There is a word that I love right now, and that's the word NPC. It's non-playable character. Do you know what it is, Antoine?
No.
In the computer game world, there are characters in computer games that are from the game itself. But when you're playing the game, it looks like it's another individual playing the game. But the character in the game just walks from point A to B to C to D and goes back and does the same thing over and over. And you can talk with them and they give an answer, but they're non-playable characters. They're characters in the story of the game, and there's not a player behind it. So in today's world, a lot of young people are saying that a lot of folks are NPCs, non-playable characters. Like, and I think that's what we're talking about. They just go to work and they just do their thing. There is no passion. There is no knowledge about what fires them up. But the only thing that needs to be done is to pay the mortgage, make sure there's a nice car in front of the house, and that's it, right? So what happens with the NPCs when the human score becomes visible, Karen?
Yeah. Well, they come alive because I don't think anyone wants to be an NPC. I think many, because of the obligations they have to their families or their children or whatever, are choosing to be an NPC because that's what pays the bills. But AI is changing that. And I think companies know that the future is for the ones who create the real players in the game, right? Because the NPCs are going to be handled by AI. And so now what we need, engagement, retention, all those things, requires real players that are participating in the game. And the human score reflects where you have players that are disengaged and the game is not working and they're not able to play. They're just kind of stuck there doing the NPC work, which is going away. So it's really going to give them the opportunity, because I think, to Anton's point about the youth of today, the Gen Zs and some of the Gen Xs, they're not going for that crap anymore. They aren't going to be NPCs. So if you can't make the NPC part happen with AI and let me be a player in the 5, which we've identified 5 categories: design, structure, culture, decision making, and fairness. If you can't let me be a player in the organization and have an impact, I'm out.
Yeah, I think we need to create some form of leadership that needs to be discussed, because of course the manageability of NPCs is very easy, and it's easy to manage people that are just doing their job and stick in their box, right? And so something really needs to change, and I think Human Score and MeetYourself are really working on that, and not ticking the box, but really creating a difference where the world needs different thinking, especially in combination with AI. And I think these are the steps to make that possible, to create some kind of new leadership. Because, oh boy, there are a lot of leaders saying we need different kind of thinking, and they continue with their own thinking that is not that different, right? It's fascinating to see that, because it's very difficult, and Antoine knows that, of course, to step out of your box. This is your conditioning, this is your thinking, this is who you think you are, and even worse, this is how we think others are, and curiosity is gone. So how does MeetYourself, and this is my favorite question of today, and I had to wait 35 minutes to ask this, but I love the word curiosity. Do you think, Antoine, in meeting yourself, of course there's an angle of curiosity, but do you think in doing Meet Yourself and organizing that the curiosity sparks even more. And I think there's a lack of curiosity. I just want to know your view on curiosity with Meet Yourself.
Well, let me approach this from a different angle. Meeting yourself is not the objective of life. Happiness is the objective of life. And if you manage to be happy without meeting yourself, then you've achieved the goal. So what we're proposing here is not for people to change their lives or to go on another new quest to find out things about themselves, because what is worse than meeting yourself is knowing new things about yourself but not being able to do anything about it. It's better not to know than become aware and not be able to do anything about it. Meet yourself is for someone who is in a position in their life where they are curious about how their life went and how is it going in the future. Most of us go through a stage in our life and we start questioning whether we studied the right thing, whether we are in the right environment, whether we married the right person, etc. And it could be any question. And Meet Yourself can be very empowering in that stage because it can say the why of a lot of these questions. And if someone is curious and determined to change the course of their life or go to a more purposeful direction, this would be the right flashlight, because it will show. Because Perry, we can learn anything in life, but we can never escape our nature. You cannot think a lot and decide and study to become taller. And if you're born emotional, you'll always be emotional. You'll just learn to manage your emotions socially. But you will always have an emotional nature. We cannot escape our nature. And the beautiful thing about our nature is that it gives us a chance to go and experiment. But when we're in the middle of our life and more, it will start coming back and reminding us. This is why you see that people are the closest to who they are when they were just born and when they are about to die. That's when old people are just doing anything they want, saying anything they want, wearing anything they want. They don't care. They're just being themselves. It's us in that period in between that are experimenting and still trying to fit. But at a certain point, we start wondering how much of that aligns with me. And this is where a tool like Meet Yourself can shed the light on, no, there are parts of you that are there and they will always be there. And now you have a choice of either giving them some attention or continuing your life just the way it was.
And I hope in understanding yourself more that it also ignites your own curiosity in others. Because I can imagine that if you find out things about yourself that are hidden away, that maybe there is a thought now that when you see others, maybe something else is hidden as well. I notice that we judge very easily.
I love what you're saying. Absolutely.
And I hope in discovering yourself more, it opens up the possibility to see different angles from other people and not judge so fast. Oh boy. Anyway, I will get off that chair. Karen,
Yes.
curiosity and the human score sticker. It's two angles, and I hope the human score will trigger a lot of curiosity when people see the sticker of the human score at the entrance of an office building or on a product, or when you're working there and you see that human score and you score an A, that you start thinking, what is this? How do you think the human score can sparkle a lot of curiosity with both the people that are saying, yes, we want to do the human score, and the audience that see the human score?
Yeah. Well, I think if I might coin the phrase that the human score is the curiosity door opener for leaders. in their 9 to 5 environment, because what it allows them to see is how their humans are experiencing the design of their daily work. I said it, oops, structure, decision making. So
I should have said
they,
that every time you say it, you have to pay me $100. That would have been so much better.
Yes, that would have been so much better. But so when they get their human score and they look at those 5 dimensions of how humans are experiencing their 9 to 5 environment, they can see what's adversely affecting the 9 to 5 environment,
The garden,
the bottom line, and they
Mhm.
can also see what's doing really well for the company. So they can get curious as to, why is this adversely affecting our bottom line? It's also adversely affecting our people. And let's get curious about co-creating something different, something that can not only impact the bottom line of our 9 to 5 environment, but the humans in it. So to me, it's all about getting curious, because I have a score. What's behind it? I have adverse effects on my score and I have positive effects on my score. How can I get curious to move those in the positive direction and away from the negative direction? So it is that curiosity door opener for how can we co-create a better 9 to 5 work environment for our people so that they can live. I even said 9 to 5 environment and had to throw in the word I'm not supposed to say, so I'm sorry. But and I think that's where the two of our organizations are so complementary, because once organizations, the leaders, I'm a rule breaker. Okay, once they get curious, then they want to tap into that potential, because that's where the gold is at for them. And that's where a better environment for the human is as well. So everyone's winning in that situation. I like to call it win-win-win. Organization, the leader wins, the employee wins, and the customers win when everyone's operating at their full potential.
You're both talking about humans, and in this interview or get together, we're talking about human intelligence. On the website of the Human Score, we talk about the human centricity. I think that's what we have in common with Meet Yourself and the Human Score and the Octopus Movement. It's all about human centricity. Now, that's a word. I love language, and words can mean a lot of things. When people said to me in the beginning, "You're creating a community," I said, "No, I don't want to use that word. I want to use the word human mycelium, because that defines it much better for me." I think language is super important and has everything to do with human intelligence, in not the exact definition of language, but also what it does to a culture, to our conditioning. Now, human centricity is a word. What does it mean, Karen? What does it mean, human centricity? And again, from the perspective of human intelligence, how we talk about this, what is really human centricity in your opinion?
In my opinion, it is meeting the needs of humans, right? And if you look at the greatest innovators of our time, I like to use Steve Jobs as an example. People thought he was an ass, but he was human centric in that his observations and the way he listened to people gave him insights to what their needs were. Just a couple of examples. His daughter, had her little pack on with the cassette player, and she had to keep changing tapes.
Her Sony Walkman, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
He saw the need for her to have more music capabilities with her because she loved music. And so he created a way to carry, 1,000 songs on a little iPod. But it was his observation and his listening to the needs of his daughter. You could say the same thing for Dropbox or anything on the iPhone. He could have been out listening to sitting on a busy street and listening to a salesman say, "Oh, I can't get that for you right now. I'll be back at the office in an hour and I'll send you the file." Well, he listened and he recognized there was a need there for them to have access to their files wherever they were, not just back at the office. So I think when leaders recognize that empathy is not about understanding the emotions, because we're not going to understand people's emotions. We don't even understand our own most of the time. But when it's about uncovering the need behind the emotions and how can we as leaders fill those needs, not only in our garden, but in the people that come to see the garden, our customers, then that's when we really begin to thrive. And that has nothing to do with AI efficiency at all. Even though that may be a catalyst for getting us there, it's not about that.
No, it is not about that. I love that. And Antoine, what does human centricity mean for you?
It's all about human centricity, really. The power of this, of what Karen is doing with the human score and Meet Yourself, is, as you said earlier, it's not about only understanding yourself, but being able to understand others. And we see people's behavior. We don't see we don't hear their thinking. We don't see what's in their DNA. We just react to the way they're behaving. And if we're not understanding them correctly, then conflicts start happening. So being empathetic towards oneself and towards others means properly understanding them in order to be able to bridge the gap between us as humans. And when humans, we are the most social being on this planet. The more we learn from each other, the more we work with each other, the better we grow as a community. And it's just a funny thing, we are more genetically similar than we are different. We're 99.7% genetically similar and only 0.3% different.
Mm-hmm.
Which gives us all the reasons.
I want to ask you this immediately. Sorry to interrupt you, but there is this, I don't know if you know this about the 4%. If you know your 4%, I don't know if I say this correctly, but if you know your powerful 4% that creates the 69% output, then you're in control of your flow, of what makes you your authentic self. It makes sense to me that that 4% is related to that DNA structure where 99.6% is all the same, but that 4% and not the 4%. Am I making, am I talking bullshit now, Antoine, or are you saying no, there's something interesting there?
No, but think about all the greats. It only took discovering one talent and nurturing that to become great. You don't need to discover so much in all of your talents. Mm-hmm. The science has not yet reached a point where the whole human genome is understood and your whole talents are discovered. But there's enough there to learn. And it's enough to nurture one passion to have a purpose in life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think that's the beauty of human score is with AI taking the brunt of the grunt stuff that we don't want to do and don't like to do and is mundane and repetitive, then leaders can now focus on what is, in your terms, Perry, the 4% of these employees, and how does that fit together, and how do we design a work environment? Oops, did it again.
Oh
a work environment, Karen, where everyone is operating in their 4% or whatever it is that lights them up, because when that's the expansion I'm talking about that organizations are on the cusp of. They're either going to choose to focus all on AI and it's going to lead to doom because it's very contracting, or they're going to go expansive and look at how do we let AI do the grunt stuff that nobody wants to do, and how do we find that 4% for every employee so that we can just blow.
That creates human centricity and human
Yeah.
intelligence, right? And
Yeah.
before I go to your passion, both Antoine and Karen, I want to know your passion as final topic. I want to share that the 4% is not coming from me; it's coming from Brandon Fong, who told me about the 4%, and he's creating some amazing work around the 4%. So if you want to know more, do a search on LinkedIn, find Brandon Fong, and he knows everything about the 4%. I think the 4% is going to be very essential in human centricity and the change that we're going to see in tomorrow's world. That is massive. I don't think we, the three of us, have any idea what's coming to us. I don't think we have a clue on what's going to happen. And I do think that human intelligence, what we have, not the skills, not what we can learn, but who we are, is going to be so essential. So if I look at my own passion, people that know me, my own passion is nonlinear thinking, the space between thoughts. I love to be disconnected from the conditioning of thought. I do that many times where I have a thought and I'm disconnecting purposely from that thought because it's so much more interesting to let go of that and to find something else that is not related to anything and that pops up and where you can do something with. And that gives me creativity, that gives me connection with others. So my passion is really the space between thoughts, the nonlinear thinking. I want to know your passion in life, Dr. Antoine. What is your passion? What is your 4%? What is your human centricity? What is that thing that you found out with Meet Yourself that is really your passion?
It's funny you've just used some of the words I put in my article only this morning on LinkedIn. Is the power of being nobody or nothing, and how much we get trapped into being something in life and pursuing something, and how much we lose by not allowing ourselves to explore. My passion is exploration. It is creating in the moment. It is going to a new place and getting lost. And it is in that I find the greatest purpose and the greatest sense of self-actualization and fulfillment. So I would saying what exactly my passion is would defy what I've just said. I'm open to learning and growing in the direction of what this life will bring, by building connections, by talking to people, by touching people's lives and allowing people to touch my life. And I hope that the future and tomorrow is going to bring something that I don't know it is going to bring.
We should have started with this question because that would have brought.
Let's start now.
More humanity in the conversation, even though I think we were very human centric. But I don't know what happened to you, Karen, when you were listening to Antoine when he talked about his passion. You know, my passion as Dr. Antoine is getting lost, which is so cool. And I wish we started there, because that would have made it all different in a way. Not the conversation, but the emotion of for the people listening to this. And I think that's how important it is to be able to define your passion spot on in a sharp way, and not my passion is, and then I give the mission statement of the Octopus Movement, because that's work and that's the organization, and we're not talking about that. Karen, what is your passion?
Saving leaders as well as the humans in their care from the agonizing journey of chasing the outer whatever, whether it's the degree or the skill or the knowledge, which is always changing. Thinking that something outside of themselves is their purpose. Because it took me decades and more intuition driven. I wish I'd had Meet Yourself, 30 years ago. But to know that it's nothing outside of yourself that completes you. It's what's within you, that 4%, that is your gift to the world of service. And so, I think that we're at a unique time in history that no one has to do that anymore. They don't have to waste decades of their lives trying to figure out what am I good at and what am I not good at, and what's fun for me and what lights me up, and what do I just do naturally that other people need. And so I think, my passion is impacting as many people as possible, and that happens through gardening leaders to help them to help their flowers grow and bloom and get there a hell of a lot faster than I did. So that's my passion.
Thank you very much for this very human intelligent, human-centric, passionate conversation about something that can be seen as very abstract and just ticking the box, like, very system relevant. And thank you, Michael, for teaching me this system relevance and human-centric. You've said it so many times that I will never, ever forget it for the rest of my life. But it's so important to look at this and to find some form of balance between nonlinear thinking and linear thinking and system relevance and human centricity. And it's interesting, and there is a lot of curiosity in diving into these things. So if you're looking at this, if you want to know more, reach out to Karen Zeigler about the humanscore.info or to Dr. Antoine Eid for Meet Yourself. And know you both are very happy to meet people and to connect on LinkedIn and talk about whatever they want to talk about and connect the dots. Thank you all for your time. Any last words, famous last words, Karen? Now you can say whatever you want to say.
Well, I kind of did that anyway, but thank you. No, if leaders out there are curious as to how they can begin to redesign the future of work so that it not only works for their organization, but it works for their employees as well, then I'd love to help them do that at the Human Score.
Thank you. Antoine, any famous last words for today?
Same. Thank you for facilitating this. This was very amusing. And also, if you're interested in a conversation, not trying to sell you anything here, just a conversation, reach out, Karen, me, and we take it from there. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you, everybody, for watching us. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, reach out to the Octopus Movement. If you want to know more things, why we're doing what we're doing, what does it mean to solve the unsolvable, and what the hell nonlinear thinking means, and why an octopus, reach out to us, reach out to me, book me on Pick My Brain, and we can have a chat. Reach out to Karen, reach out to Antoine. Thank you all for being here, and my two guests. This was awesome. I love the dance, and let's see how we can bring Meet Yourself and the Human Score together, dancing in the space of an octopus garden or something. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
It's showing something it shouldn't be showing. Namaste, the Octopus Movement.
Oh, well.
I don't know if people can still hear me.
I ended it. It says ending in 45, so I think